So today is a technique day for me, which consists of doing like 7 different things. It'll be 7 7-minute motos and a 10-minute warm-up. And usually I do 10 starts, but today we're not going to do starts because we're on studs, and we don't want to waste our studs for no reason because they're kind of expensive. So we don't need to practice starts today, but we're going to do the 7 7-minute motos, and I'll get into explaining a little bit of what those 7s are and what specifically I'm working on, and you'll learn a little bit from that. So I'm going to go right into my 10-minute warm-up to give you an idea. This is the conditions we got today. It's a little snowy, frosty. There's some deep ruts back there in some places. So it's frosty, it's snowy, the ground's hard. It's still all fine for doing technique. There's no, as long as you have studs and you can ride a dirt bike, any weather is really decent for doing this. Whether you're doing it in the rain, mud, snow, it doesn't really matter. But anyways, I'll get into this 10-minute warm-up, and we'll learn something today. All right, so 10-minute warm-up all set. One thing I didn't mention is like course length, what you're gonna go with. So if you're going to do the 7-minute motos on a technique day, you want to aim for like a short course. So like a 2-minute lap time, even a 1-minute lap time is okay. I mean, you can even do this on a figure 8. I prefer to do it in the woods or in a short 1-minute loop, just because there's a lot more variance or like different types of corners that you can hit. Like for instance, you'll have corners like this that have a tight inside tree. So your initial lean angle is not going to be as hard as you'd like it to be to get into this corner. And then again, on the exit, even you have a outside tree and an inside tree. And then in some corners you won't, like this one, for instance, you have a good lean angle because there's no inside tree. But in the back here in the beginning, there is an inside tree. So even like with a figure 8, you could lay out a figure 8 in the woods, or even do just a short loop in the woods. This is like a 1:30. This loop, and it works really well for the 7/7s. So a lot of the times in my 10-minute warm-ups, I like to do no clutch, no brakes, and just throttle and shifter, just to get you like in a flow and start using the transmission rather than using your brakes or over relying on your brakes. And it just gets you into a flow state a little bit quicker, unless you're missing turns and and crashing. That doesn't get you in a flow state. But for me, just shifting, using the engine brake to slow the bike down rather than the brakes, and just kind of getting into a rhythm. The 10-minute warm-up's not about speed. It's just about getting warmed up, getting your body warmed up, the same as you would do a warm-up before you're going to do a sprint or anything like that. So after you complete the 10-minute warm-up, the 7/7s will begin. So I listed up I have a giant list of like 40 or 42 different things to work on. I'll show you what the list looks like now, and you can kind of see some of the things that I work on, but I'm not obviously going to go through all 43 of them because we'd be here for 40 minutes. So here's a little bit of what the list looks like. It's on my other phone. Just 43 things that I listed off that I could use work on, and know that a lot of other people could use work on. Like some of the things might not make any sense just because they're written in ways that I would understand, or just a quick way of understanding it. So you have like silly things like even just standing only for 7 minutes. You can do looking ahead, no fixation, loose arms, unlocked hips, head over the bars, constant throttle, meaning you're not pinned all the time, like wide open, but you're never really coasting. So accelerate, brake, corner. So you're going to accelerate, brake, corner. There's not a whole lot of coasting time. Use your gearbox, so you're shifting into corners, not just slipping your clutch and keeping the bike in third the entire time. Sitting only is an interesting one, just to get you used to maybe like a mud race where you're just following those 2-foot deep ruts or the hub deep ruts, and you can't really stand in it, or you're having a hard time standing in it. Just get used to that sitting and being aggressive still, even if you're sitting. It may not be the right thing to do, but it just gets you in that mindset. And there's other things like quick sit to stand to sit, charge on straights, blah blah blah. You guys get the idea, get the picture. I mean, there's a huge list there of things that just for me that I work on. I mean, they can be customized to any way that you want, or any way that would work for you as well. So one super specific thing that I want to mention in the 7-minute motos is that speed is not the priority for any of this. It's only working on solely the one thing that you pick for that 7-minute session and focusing on only that. So if I pick heels dropped, the only thing that I'm thinking about for 7 minutes of a moto is having my heels dropped. There's no like, oh, heels dropped, but I'm gonna go as fast as I can, or heels dropped, or I'm gonna, anything else literally, you just forget all about that. It's only the heels down that you focus on for that 7 minutes. And the speed is not important. So if you can't go around this turn track or this figure 8 with your heels dropped for 7 minutes in first gear, then the chances are you're not going to be able to do it in second gear, third gear, fourth gear, or on a racetrack or in a race environment. The idea is that we're creating like a habit out of good habits. We're making it a habitual instinct to revert back to good habits rather than bad habits immediately as soon as we get into some race situation or any situation with pressure where your instinct is to go back to your bad habits. You want to make good habits your instinct. So the 7-7s are really only about building good habits and making them your instinct when you're riding and racing. So that's what I'm working on, and that's what the 7-7s are all about. I say 7-7s so fast. 7-7s. But anyway, 7-minute motos. But focus on one thing at a time. Today, that last one I just did, I just got done doing one. I focused on centered upper body. So, we're not going like this with our upper body. We're just keeping our head centered with the bike and using our hips and our feet to steer the bike and move the bike underneath us. But the most important part of that 7 minutes was that I kept my upper body centered and my head centered with the bike and not leaning or pointing my head in directions that it shouldn't go. So yeah,